Hey, I'm Sarah Thompson. I'm 35, and I'm an ER nurse at one of the busiest hospitals in Chicago. I'm not here to complain. I'm sharing this because I know there are thousands of nurses out there who feel exactly the way I do, bone-tired, anxious, and sometimes terrified that one day I might just collapse right outside those sliding ER doors. The hallway is quiet but not peaceful. The fluorescent lights hum above me, washing everything in this cold, sterile glow. That strong antiseptic smell clings to every breath I take, settling heavy in my chest. Somewhere down the hall, a monitor beeps. And outside, the wail of an ambulance siren cuts through the night, rattling the glass doors. Sometimes I swear it beats in rhythm with my own racing heart. Suddenly, the ER doors slam open. A teenage boy comes flying in on a gurney, his shirt soaked in blood. His mother's voice cracks as she screams his name. Code Blue, a doctor yells. I grab gloves, rush to his side. My hands are shaking, but I can't let it show. It's 3 a.m., my third 12-hour shift this week. I haven't eaten. My feet ache so bad I can't feel them, and my eyes blur from exhaustion. And right then, it hits me. All I do is run, save, and forget to breathe. This isn't just being tired. This is full-blown burnout. Studies show over 60% of ICU and ER nurses in the U.S. are running on empty. Cortisol's through the roof. Immune systems crash. Memory falters. PTSD and depression creep in quietly. And me? I hear ambulance sirens even in my sleep, jerking awake with my heart pounding like I'm back in that trauma bay. But I know I'm not the only one. Maybe you're watching this right now, coming off another brutal shift, feeling more like a machine than a human being. This isn't a story about being some hero in scrubs. It's about being human. It's about finding a way to breathe again before you break. That night in the ER, the alarms blaring, a mother screaming, my hands trembling as I tried to save a boy whose heart had already stopped, wasn't some rare dramatic moment. It was just a Tuesday. But it wasn't always like this. There was a time when walking into a hospital didn't feel like stepping onto a battlefield. There was a time I walked these halls full of purpose. I became a nurse because I knew what it felt like to lose someone you love. When I was 11 years old, I watched my little brother slip away in a hospital just like this one. I can still see it. The red and blue lights flashing outside our house, painting the street like a crime scene. That cold, sharp smell of antiseptic slamming into me as soon as those ER doors swung open. My mom's sobs echoing through the chaos like a knife to the heart. And then silence. That awful ringing silence where the world stopped spinning. I remember standing there, a skinny kid clutching the hem of my hoodie, staring at a hospital bed that would never hold my brother alive again. That night changed me. It wasn't just grief, it was a vow. A promise that someday I'd be the one running into the chaos, the one who could say we saved him. That dream carried me through nursing school, through brutal exams, sleepless nights, and student loans that felt like they'd never end. The first time I pulled on my scrubs, I felt like I was putting on armor. The day I walked into the ER for my first shift, I was proud. I was unstoppable. I thought I'd be a light in someone else's darkest hour. But somewhere along the way, that calling turned into survival. On paper, my life looks picture perfect. A quiet house in the suburbs, a husband, 2 kids, a golden retriever. But every morning at 5 a.m., I slip out the door while my kids are still asleep. Every night, I come home long after they're in bed. I kiss their cheeks in the dark, whisper, "I love you," and they never even know I was there. That smell of antiseptic I used to associate with hope now clings to me like a shadow. Picture this. I pull into the driveway after a 12-hour shift. The garage door hums open. The house glows warm from the windows, but it's silent. A sticky note on the counter says, "Kids did great today. Don't stay up too late." I stand there in the kitchen, still smelling like blood and bleach, wondering when I stopped feeling like a mom, a wife, or even myself. That little girl who wanted to save lives, she's still here. But she's buried under exhaustion, endless paperwork, and that constant relentless beep, beep, beep. Some nights in the ER, it feels like time slows down, and then suddenly it's racing 1,000 miles an hour. I remember kneeling over a teenage boy once, pressing down on his chest, counting compressions out loud, while his mother screamed in the corner, "Come on, stay with me. Come on." My arms burned, my back ached, but I didn't stop. Not until the doctor looked at me and shook his head. I froze for a second, my hands hovering over his still chest. And then, like I've trained myself to do, I swallowed hard, forced my face neutral, and pulled the blanket over him. Inside, my heart was shattering. But I didn't have time to break. There were 5 more patients waiting. The hallway was chaos that night. The phone at the nurse's station wouldn't stop buzzing. Call lights blinked above every bed. One man was vomiting blood, another was crashing, and in the next room a child was having a seizure. It felt like I was running a marathon while drowning. Everywhere I turned, someone was calling my name. I was the only nurse on duty for 6 critical patients. 6. That's not care, that's triage. And then came the father. His daughter was in surgery and things weren't going well. He cornered me, his face inches from mine, shouting, "Why isn't she out yet? What's taking so long?" His voice shook with fear, but it came out as rage. I took a deep breath, kept my voice calm, and put my hand on his shoulder. I know this is terrifying. The team is doing everything they can. He didn't want reassurance. He wanted answers I didn't have. By the time I stepped out of that hallway, my scrubs were splattered with blood and something else I didn't want to identify. I peeled off my gloves and noticed a thin scratch on my hand. Just a tiny red line, barely there, but my chest tightened instantly. Was it from a needle? A jagged IV port? I washed it, scrubbed until my skin burned, but I couldn't scrub away the anxiety gnawing in my gut. Hours later, the chaos slowed. Just a little. Patients were finally stable, the screaming had quieted, and the ER dimmed into that eerie pre-dawn glow. I slumped into a chair in front of the computer, the smell of antiseptic and burnt coffee clinging to me, and started charting. Click, click, click. For every life and death decision I'd made tonight, I had to enter pages of documentation. The clock on the wall blinked 4:02 a.m. I rubbed my eyes, my fingers shaking on the keyboard. The world outside was still asleep, but here in this cold, fluorescent light, I felt like a ghost. I used to come home after these shifts proud of the work I'd done. Now I just come home empty. After nights like those, I feel like I'm running on fumes. I work around 60 hours a week, bouncing from one 12-hour shift to the next, sometimes more. Dinner is whatever I can grab from a vending machine and scarf down in a stairwell. Water, usually replaced by lukewarm coffee that's been sitting out for hours. My hands shake even when I'm sitting still, and my lower back feels like it's been crushed from lifting patients twice my size. Burnout isn't just a word we throw around anymore. It's who I am. I'm snappy at home. I yell at my kids over spilled juice or messy homework, then lock myself in the bathroom and cry because I don't even recognize myself. My husband tries to hold me, but I feel like a ghost in scrubs, too wired to sleep, too tired to feel anything at all. And the sirens, they follow me home. I hear them in my dreams. I see flashing monitors smell antiseptic and watch faces of patients I couldn't save over and over again. I wake up gasping, my heart racing, like I'm still in the trauma bay. Some nights I can't even tell if I'm awake or still stuck in those moments. My body's falling apart too. My shoulders are permanently knotted, my knees ache, and my neck is stiff every morning. My sleep schedule is wrecked, day and night blur together until I don't even know what week it is. My immune system is shot. A simple cold knocks me flat for weeks. And then there are the flashbacks no one wants to talk about. The teenage boy who didn't survive surgery. The COVID patients I held hands with while they died because their families couldn't be there. Those memories don't just fade. They live under my skin. Some nights after a shift, I don't even start my car. I just sit there in the hospital parking lot, forehead pressed against the steering wheel, tears soaking through my mask. My scrubs smell like sweat and antiseptic, and the weight of it all feels like it's crushing my chest. And yet, in a few hours, I'll wipe my face, pull myself together, and walk back into that ER. Because that's what we do, even when we're breaking. It finally happened. One night during a crazy shift, I was giving meds to a patient when everything started spinning. My hands went numb. The steady beeps of the monitor turned into one long, high-pitched ring, and then nothing. I woke up in one of our own ER beds. The harsh, fluorescent lights above me buzzed. My scrubs were damp with sweat, and one of my coworkers was sitting next to me, holding my hand, whispering, "You scared us." Turns out my body had been screaming for months. I just wasn't listening. When you live in fight or flight mode all the time, your body floods with cortisol. Your immune system weakens. Your heart races. Your nervous system never resets. And eventually it forces you to stop. My stop just happened in the middle of a trauma bay. The doctor told me I needed time off. I couldn't run back to work. I couldn't hide behind the chaos anymore. For the first time, I had to sit with myself, and that was terrifying. That's when I started therapy. I remember my first session. I couldn't even get the words out. I just sat there sobbing, trying to explain that I wasn't weak, that I didn't want to quit, that I loved being a nurse, but hated who I'd become. My therapist looked at me and said gently, "You've been running on survival mode for so long, your body doesn't feel safe anymore." That wrecked me. I'd been saving lives for years, but I'd completely ignored my own. For weeks, I'd go to therapy, come home, and just collapse on the couch. The kids would peek around the corner, unsure if mom was okay. My husband would bring me tea, sit quietly next to me, and hold my hand. Slowly, I started talking about the nightmares, the guilt, the panic attacks, and every time I let the words out, I felt like I was finally breathing again after years of holding it all in. That night I passed out wasn't just exhaustion, it was my body's way of saying heal, or you won't make it. That night I collapsed in the ER. It was like my body staged an intervention. I'd spent years running on caffeine and adrenaline telling myself I was fine until my body just quit. That moment was my wake-up call. What I did next wasn't some Pinterest-style self-care with candles and bath bombs. These were real changes, practical, hard, non-negotiable changes that pulled me back from the edge. I stopped signing up for extra shifts. That might sound simple, But for a nurse, saying no feels like betraying your team. Still, I realized every time I said yes, I was saying no to my health, my kids, and my marriage. So I made rules. Leave on time unless it's a true emergency. No more just one more chart after a 12-hour shift. Work phone goes on silent at 9 p.m. My brain needs time to power down, just like a ventilator on standby. Days off are sacred. No doubles, no guilt trips. Research shows chronic sleep loss raises cortisol and inflammation, increasing your risk of heart disease and depression. I was living proof. At first, coworkers teased me Sarah's strict about her hours now. But guess what? I showed up more alert, less exhausted, and made fewer mistakes. Boundaries aren't selfish, they're a patient safety measure. I used to roll my eyes at mindfulness. I don't have time to meditate, I'm a nurse. But my therapist explained it like this: when you live in high stress mode for too long, your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, gets stuck in overdrive. Mindfulness literally shrinks the amygdala over time and strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that helps you think clearly under pressure. This isn't woo-woo, it's neuroscience. So I started small before work. I sit in my car for 5 minutes, hand on my chest, slow breathing, repeating, I'm safe, I'm here. After work, I take 20 minutes sometimes in the hospital meditation room to just breathe and process my day. No phone, no scrolling. Studies show even 10 minutes of mindfulness can lower blood pressure and heart rate. During chaos, I pause for 2 deep breaths before responding to a code or a confrontation. It's like hitting a mental reset button. I used to come home from shifts and replay everything, the alarms, the trauma cases, every decision I made like a movie on loop. I thought the answer was to force myself to stop thinking about it. But the harder I tried, the louder those thoughts became. That's the white bear effect researchers talk about. Here's what finally worked: name the thought. When a stressful memory shows up, I say, that's my anxiety about last night's trauma case. Naming it softens its punch. Visualize it floating away. I picture the thought like a leaf drifting on water. I don't fight it, I just let it pass. Practice in micro moments. I do this in the break room, in the elevator, even while washing my hands. Each time I let a thought pass, my brain learns it doesn't need to sound the alarm 24/7. This is called cognitive diffusion, a skill from acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT. Research shows labeling and observing thoughts lowers amygdala activity, helping your body exit fight or flight mode. I'm leaning against a hospital hallway wall, eyes closed for 5 seconds, taking a slow exhale. Alarms and voices buzz around me, but in my mind, one anxious thought just floated away, leaving a brief pocket of calm. These weren't quick fixes. They were stubborn choices I practiced shift after shift. But over time, I stopped feeling like a machine running on fumes and started feeling like a person again. I still work in the ER. The alarms still go off. The chaos hasn't gone anywhere. But now I've learned how to breathe in the middle of it all. For the first time in years, I don't feel like a ghost when I walk through my own front door. I can sit down at the dinner table and actually taste my food. I can laugh with my kids without my mind replaying a code from earlier that night. And my body, it's different too. Yeah, my back still aches after a 12-hour shift, but I don't wake up at 3 a.m. with my heart racing, like I'm still running down that hallway. My therapist told me this isn't just in my head. Mindfulness and rest have literally rewired my brain. My amygdala, the brain's fire alarm, has finally calmed down after years of blaring nonstop. My prefrontal cortex, the part that helps us make clear decisions under stress, has gotten stronger. I can feel it every time I'm in a high-pressure moment. My cortisol levels have dropped, which means I'm not stuck in survival mode 24/7 anymore. And science backs it up. Studies show that healthcare workers who practice just 10 minutes of mindfulness a day can cut burnout by almost 40%. I used to roll my eyes at that, but now I'm living proof. Even my coworkers notice. One of them said to me last week, "Sarah, you look lighter." Not because this job is easier, it's not, but because I'm carrying it differently now. And at home, that's where it really matters. My daughter used to hesitate before hugging me after a shift, like she could feel the tension radiating off me. Now she runs straight into my arms. Me and my son riding our bikes down a quiet neighborhood street. Sunlight streaming through the trees, his laughter ringing in my ears. No alarms, no codes, just life. I'm still Sarah, still an ER nurse, still a wife, a mom. But I'm no longer running on fumes. I've rebuilt myself into someone who can walk through hell and still come home to warmth, to connection, and to a deep breath. And if you're watching this feeling burned out and broken like I was, I'm here to tell you your nervous system can heal too. If you're still here watching this, maybe you're like me. Maybe you're a nurse, a doctor, a teacher, a first responder, or just someone who feels like life's been running you into the ground. Maybe you're exhausted but still pushing, showing up every day pretending you're fine while you're crumbling inside. Let me say this loud and clear. You're not weak, you're human. You can't take care of everyone else if you're running on empty. You can't show up for your patients, your kids, your partner, or even yourself if you never stop to breathe. I'm not here to give you some picture-perfect self-care tips with candles and bubble baths. I'm here to tell you the truth. Your brain and body can heal. You can retrain your nervous system. You can set boundaries without guilt. You can feel like yourself again. And if this story hits home, you're not alone. That's why I started sharing these stories here on The Truth MD, to talk about the things most people in healthcare don't say out loud. So if you're nodding along, maybe holding back tears, I'd love for you to stick around. Subscribe, share this video, or leave a comment, not for me, but for every nurse, every teacher, every firefighter, every parent scrolling at 2 a.m., wondering if they're the only one falling apart. This is a space where we talk about the science behind stress and burnout, and we remind each other that mental health matters just as much as physical health. Right now, take a breath, drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw. You deserve a moment of peace. And please don't wait until you collapse like I did. Reach out, talk to someone, start small, you're worth it. I'm Sarah Thompson, an ER nurse here in Chicago, and this is my truth. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.